What's up, Smite fans? Aggro here. Listen, you guys have been loving Roll Q. We've been loving the support you've been giving it. And really, we're just trying to listen to what you guys want. And what everyone seems to want to hear about is jungle right now. All this talk on Twitter. Jungle's bad. It's worthless. My role sucks. It's all nonsense. And I sat down with 4 of the best junglers to ever do it in order to see if they think that's actually the case. Hopefully you check it out.
Thanks, Aggro. YouTube.com/SmitePro. I don't know if you've ever heard me once ever during a broadcast mention Roll Q. I'm being facetious because I mention it all the time. And honestly, they don't have to tell me. It really is some of the best content coming out of the studio right now. 4 of the best at their position. Aggro sits in the middle and just tosses a bunch of questions. It is eye-opening. Definitely something you don't want to miss. Another thing you don't want to miss, me and Toli on the desk.
Hey, it's you and me, TNT.
Like dynamite. We're ready to blow this one up. 4th matchup of the day. What are we looking forward to here?
I think Hype Unit is obviously the talking point against a Sanguine today. Should be a lot of fireworks. I'm looking at the jungle. I'm looking at layers.
This is who we generally look at. Hype Unit has been on top for a long time. 4 wins tied with the Blanche fan club, but Hype Unit has kind of been the de facto team to talk about, like you mentioned. You've got some of the best players in the league, historically and recently, kind of showing up here and making their name known. We've seen them on LAN, we've seen them at home, we've seen them kind of everywhere. They're going up against some fierce competition. What's your take on them?
I think Sanguine should have to look for the early game pressure. Hype Unit is a very difficult team to handle consistently. They've been through the ringer. They've been to Worlds. They've won Worlds. Despite not having the same exact roster today as they did have at Worlds, they have the core leadership, which is the front line. And you're looking at Wolves, Layers, and Inbowned.
And that's who's been able to drive this team forward. We'll see if that continues here today. Picks and bans on the way here for game number 1. And Sanguine will have the first selection overall. Of course, that means first ban as well. We'll see the Odin ban. Now, this always makes me laugh. One of the worst characters in the game, if you were to ask Reddit. The tier list puts him way down there.
Yeah, but look at the bans against Hype Units. 33% Odin.
Yes, and that's because of your Wolves. He goes, one of the guys that Wolves just likes to bring.
Yeah. And even though teams are banning Loki, even against Wolves, we don't see Wolves bringing out the Loki, but you know that's in his back pocket.
The set, I think, is one of the smarter bans here. Sanguine focusing 2 out of their 3 bans onto the solo lane. Hype instead focusing on the mages here with the Zhang Kui and the Isis. Sanguine going out for the Erlang Shen, a character that plays in the jungle very well. And so all the physical characters banned out by Sanguine.
It's looking like a nice, consistent ban from Sanguine. They're leaving the Thor open, the Kronos as well if they wanted to go for it, and should be going for some global pressure because you can't give Layers the Thor.
No. You certainly can't. He won some lands on the Thor as well.
Just a few.
Don't forget, mid-season invitational, we had the console squads play against the PC teams who largely, let's just go to the court of public opinion, the PC teams are generally viewed as sometimes a step ahead. Hype Unit was able to win some of those prestigious, or win games and matches against some of those prestigious teams. So certainly worth noting that Hype Unit has that extra kind of drive there. Second with the first pick, go the Morrigan, and then finish off their draft as they watch the enemy team pick up that Thor. And King Arthur will be in there as well. It's
pretty good.
Pretty good.
And I was going to say how Hype Unit might have selected the Guan Yu with them, even though they already have the Thor to maybe stick that in the solo lane. We know Wolves likes these late game presence gods in the solo lane, but King Arthur basically also forces Sanguine's hand of trying to battle that out. And I love the Artio selection. Would have preferred to see Ares, but the cripple from Artio is still valuable.
Certainly going to work against both the Thor and the Arthur. We'll see where Sanguine goes. The Naja. Interesting choice here for the Naja to come out. I love this character. Just a ton of control. You've got some immunity frames on your ribbon sash. You can also use that to be aggressive. The ultimate goes both ways as well. And you can flicker players out of the team fight, perhaps most notably. Always a viable option in my mind. The Naja will come through for Sanguine. But Hype Unit round out their first round draft with an Olorun.
I like the Olorun as well. Sanctified Field, never a battle ultimate to have on the battleground of the gods, but I would have preferred to see the Thoth potentially to synergize with the Thor. I don't expect Sanguine to allow that to go through, even though Olorun is already selected. That is going to go in the long lane more than likely. and you still have another mid-mage that you could potentially pick, unless you wanted to run a Hunter there.
That certainly is the choice. It won't be Jing, though. Jingweezy being banned out here by Hype Unit. Sanguine on the other side, thinking about what they want to ban out here as they look towards Thor, King Arthur, and Olorun. They're going to look towards the mage class still. No Hell. She's been powerful here. We saw Zaxi win with her last game.
Yeah. I don't think they won because of Zaxi. I think there was a lot of factors that gave Nemesis the win that last game. But Hell, certainly annoying once you're in a winning position. It basically solidifies the win. And if you're going to ban away Hell, that means you're probably concerned about healers. So I'm looking at bans like maybe Aphrodite or Chang'e.
Well, it's going to be the Geb.
Maybe Cleanses is the case there. Yeah, the Hell Cleanse and the Geb Shield Cleanse.
Big deal. Thor, Arthur, Olorun with the field. All things that are susceptible to the cleanse.
Yeah.
Great job there noticing that totally. The Kumbhakarna will come through as well. And a nice look here. Ton of control, which is what I'm noticing from this team in general. Thor and Kumbhakarna provide incredible amounts of control. And the King Arthur does so as well, although a little bit differently. And the Olorun Sanctified Field, we've mentioned it ad nauseum, so certainly something that he can do. Sanguine, to deal with such control, will bring out the Vamana and the Anhur. What's your take on this?
The Vamana and the Anhur. I mean, it's good slows. A little bit of anti-attack speed from the Umbrella Ring. I'm not in love with it.
I can tell as you go, well,
I'm like,
they've got good slows.
They got good slows. I mean, okay, Anhur's never a bad pick, I think.
I agree with that one.
I'm a little bit more surprised that we're seeing Medusa, though, instead of the Thoth, because you have the Epic Uppercut. You want a big mage ultimate to follow that, but Petrify is also that big mage ultimate.
We'll see if the team stay petrified or if they are excited. Sanguine, Hype Unit, Game 1.
Moving into game, thank you, Tom and Toli. Last time we saw the Medusa, I was excited for Zaxi to play it, and they okey-doked me and gave him the hell. This time it'll be going to Crimson Oboronic, taking the Olorun into the long lane. It's me and Taco here with Doug, bringing you everything lovely that you see on the screen as we get things started.
And this Olorun Anhur matchup could be a little bit problematic for Oboronic because it's definitely much easier, I think, to punish that Olorun prior to the level 5 and actually getting that Sanctified Field online. So BMBobby definitely going to want to keep an eye on him and how he chooses to pilot this Anhur. But I love that they have Crimson in the mid lane with this Medusa. I think it provides so much pressure and is probably one of the better fairings against Morrigan because Morrigan has some pretty fantastic early game clear too.
And Medusa can match that, can stay at a range that can be difficult for Morrigans to deal with pretty often too. So I do like this pick as well. Bobby. Oh, that's going to be awful because BMBobby's in this game, so I can't call Inbound Bobby. Inbound rocking the world champion tag that he's earned. He had to earn it with Myth, not with this
You know
squad.
what this means, Finch? I think we just have to make BMBobby name change.
That
He's had this title
this man
forever,
change his
but
name.
you know what? I think we're just going to have to cyberbully BMBobby out of it because Inbound Bobby isn't BM.
Exactly. Inbound Bobby's Bobby to me, but also so is BMBobby. So it's hard to do. I was going to call him Inbound this game, but he's rocking the world champ tag from his Myth days. He wasn't with Hype Unit when they won. That was Chapo instead, as this is the defending world champions here in Wolves, Layers, and Oboronic. They did a great job last time. Griffin was a part of that roster as well, but Griffin isn't playing here right now. We miss you, buddy. Hopefully he's doing well wherever he's at. They got Crimson in to replace him. That's not bad when you lose Griffin, bring in Crimson. You're doing all right.
No, Crimson's definitely been introducing the exact same features. Oh, that Thoth, though. Dr. Prime. StRyDEr Prime could be in a little bit of trouble here. Good belly bot from Inbound, but not enough damage this early on. Layers instead going to be happy with this consolation prize. Not a first blood, but taking the big Harpy out of the back Harpies does put StRyDEr just a little bit further behind on this Vamana, and it's not common that you see the warrior running away.
Not often, as despite how that is written, that is indeed StRyDEr Prime. Goodness gracious. Red buff invade coming in the cards here for Hype Unit, though, as Layers moves into the red buff spawn, but you will have some company. Has to be careful with the way the hammer's used. Will settle for the 2 small steal. Gets impaled as well. But good patience from Layers, holds on to the beads, holds on to the hammer, and makes it out.
Good attention, though, from Bobby. Really has a lot of map awareness. Granted, there's probably some call-outs there, and Sanguine asking Bobby to give him a little bit of backup on that red buff. Can kind of sniff out these Hype Unit invades in advance, especially when you've got Layers and Inbound going so deep on those back harpies, it was pretty clear that they wanted that force back onto StRyDEr.
Sash in from Truancii, Mez there to prevent any follow-up, and Crimson's A-OK. You know, we're seeing the supports in the middle lane leaving these hunters alone, but we're seeing still a lot of hunters over there. BMBobby's playing this Anhur. Boronic's on the Olorun, which is a lot closer to the SPL meta, but BMBobby playing this Anhur. Would you have wanted to see the Morrigan for DoctorL in the long lane here instead, or do you like it here in mid?
I don't think it would have hurt Sanguine to put DoctorL on that long lane, especially since DoctorL, I mean, he's very familiar with Boronic. These two have been playing against each other for quite some time.
Right.
But DoctorL, keep in mind, he also formerly used to be a jungler, so he's definitely been around the block in terms of what he likes to play. And I think the main advantage for putting Morrigan against that Olorun is the fact that Morrigan has that transformation. I think that Changeling, especially into a Thor or even the Medusa, would be a little bit more impactful for trying to shut down this Olorun early on. But without it, you're just going to have to rely on that Impale Desert Fury damage that BMBobby can provide off the Anhur. I'm just not sold on the consistency, because if you do mess up the combination, there is definitely room for punish for the Olorun.
That's true. I do oftentimes like Anhur's matchup into Olorun, though. Like, the Desert Fury is CC immunity, that's good, as BMBobby's in some trouble, but gets away from Layers. Rotated over with the Anvil of Dawn. An important cooldown that doesn't find much. But the Anhur matchup into the Olorun doesn't feel too bad because of the Desert Fury, and it helps you reposition if you save it for the Sanctified Field. And you can still bully relatively well with the 2-1 combination as well. So maybe that's the idea. Though you just love Anhur mid nowadays, I feel like.
You really do love Anhur mid, and I think that into the Medusa wouldn't have been a bad matchup at all. It would have probably been very even, as DoctorL will avoid the epic uppercut out of Inbound. Those Purification Bees just lasting half a second longer than what Inbound was probably anticipating.
Plus, it's Morrigan. That gives you both, right? You have the Anhur matchup that you like, and it's Morrigan over there. I think I want Morrigan over there. I've said it. Yeah, I talked myself into it.
You talked yourself into this one?
Yeah, I want Morrigan long.
No, I mean, it's understandable, though, Finch. I'm right there with you. Truancii, though,
oh no,
not going to be on the mark with that Windfire Wheels or the ring toss after the fact. Could be in some trouble, in fact, but Crimson sees StRyDEr and knows this isn't a time to lacerate forward.
We haven't given this draft enough credit for how weird it is. The wall buys Layers some time. He's waiting patiently. Nowhere when he uses his hammers, DoctorL transforms into the Anhur for the CC immune Desert Fury. Makes his way out of there. StRyDEr Prime doesn't get much from the Colossal Fury here either. And with all those ultimates used, no blood is spilled.
BMBobby, on the other hand, trying to get aggressive now. Boronic looking for the Impale, finds it into the wall, but the minion wave is already here.
He leaped to the Sanctified Field, but he had the Desert Fury still. Okay. That had me feeling crazy.
Well, Boronic doesn't want to drop that Sanctified Field unless it's a full dive commitment from BMBobby. And until the Desert Fury starts to happen as well, I think that it's in Boronic's best intentions to just hold on to that cooldown for a couple moments longer until it's really needed. But this all kind of does trickle back to that same conversation, Finch, of whether it'd be better to have the Morrigan and duo and this Anhur in the mid lane as opposed to what Sanguine opted for. And I just can't help but feel like that might have just gone a little bit better in terms of early game aggression.
Sure, and again, I think these are small margins we're talking about. Like Morrigan mid on her long lane, it's not bad.
It's just nitpicking.
Yeah, it's very small margins I think that we're speaking about here. But just one more thing we're wondering if maybe might not give you an edge when you're coming at the king. You know, you want to bring every edge you can as DoctorL bullied by Layers. That hammer's chunking. There's the Desert Fury. Using it to reposition towards the edge is excellent in this spot, but I wonder if he's on the wrong side, as now Boronic getting to trade away the autos, finding first blood in the solo 1v1. BMBobby goes down.
And that's exactly why I am not a fan of these Hunter-Mage matchups, Finch, because they always feel fine and dandy up until that level 5 strikes. And once the mage is level 5, it's like an entirely different playing field. And for BMBobby, even after he was able to get out of that Sanctified Field, just wasn't able to connect enough of the Desert Fury through the impale damage even. Boronic was just unfazed. You have to remember, though, that the Olorun, he's not just slowing you down with that time dilation. He's also speeding himself up, and Bobby just could not compete with the level or with the speed that those autos were coming out.
And that's, you know, something I feel like we overlook a lot, is that it is a stem to the Olorun, right? And you're exactly right, that favored him out. Bobby also had to take the kind of the wrong side of the Sanctified Field to get out as quickly as possible on the using that Desert Fury CC immunity, which was kind of stuck top side towards the Chaos side of the map. But either way, he ends up dropping, and it's oBoronic on the board first.
But one death, and that already sets BMBobby behind 2 levels. Now with the Bancroft's Talon finished off, it's only going to get worse here for the Anhur, because it's not like you can prioritize Toxic Blade this early on, and that self-sustain, I think, might just be enough to warrant this Anhur as not really much of a threat anymore for oBoronic.
Now, the good news is oBoronic had to use beads to win that trade, and I think that's why we see Truancii lurking on this side of the map as JTask takes a ton of punishment. Also over here is Layers as well, looking for a gank, and I don't know if JTask recognizes that he's a sitting duck. Layers cleans up one of the easiest kills of his life.
Oh, the worst comes to worst as well for this Artio, because the beads were used in the process.
Oh, no.
Had zero idea that Layers was actually up in that Anvil of Dawn, and Bobby looking to get aggressive onto Bobby. There can only be one Bobby after all.
And so BMBobby retreats, but that does leave Truancii in a bad part of town. StRyDEr considering coming over to try and back his buddy up. That is the Windfire Wheels used defensively, and now StRyDEr Prime on a flank. That's misguided. DoctorL finds the kill in the Crimson. That's huge for the Anhur here in mid, see? As it could have been pretty strong, I imagine. But now he's getting turned on by Layers.
Uh-oh, Layers gonna use the beads as well. Already spots out DoctorL. No escape this time. Berserker's Barrage just to apply a little bit of extra damage onto StRyDEr. StRyDEr, though, not gonna be able to keep up in that big baby form.
There's the root that's landing, but Truancii slows down the follow-up with a sash, but Wolves is here all of a sudden, and that's King Arthur damage saying hello. They only need a few autos, though, to punish out Inbowned, and they do. And now the King Arthur, instead of looking good, is instead being slayed. Oh no, a triple kill for Wolves! You gotta be kidding, Truancii, and the rest of the squad deleted! That's a highlight reel if I've ever seen one.
There's just no way that Wolves just did that!
That's nuts, dude. Hello to
Why
King
is he
Arthur.
still alive?
That's King Arthur, baby. Making the damage felt. I don't know if we can. Can we go back and take a look or something like that? That's nuts. Someone finally take care of this man for me, please. Put him to bed. But he's still fighting.
He's still going. What the hell is happening? Wolves still taking on JTask. Where is this mana bar even at?
And that's just Glad Shield and Greaves, by the way.
That is disgusting.
He doesn't have anything else. Warrior's Blessing helping out. Inbound comes in with the epic uppercut, followed up by the Petrify. Crimson puts DoctorL in a tomb. And Hype Unit got the Gold Fury on the back of that one as well. Let's see if Layers can make it out of here. Now that he's back to safety, allow me to please go back and continue to fawn over that play made by Wolves. I believe we've got the replay available, so we can take a look at that triple kill that he pulls out of nowhere. Look how low he gets here in this fight.
Look, Finch, we've seen it so many times before where teams, you want to stack on top of the King Arthur.
Yeah.
But all of these Glad Shield procs, I cannot believe. It was like a line of death. That's all that instance was, but shout outs to Wolves, man. I mean, there's a reason why he's regarded as top of the crop for his role. And if that play doesn't have you sold, I don't know what will.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves has largely been considered not just the best solo laner, but the best player on console, just bar none, man. This guy does stuff like that on a regular basis. And, I mean, they had me sold on that gank being wasted and that Wolves going to rotate over and get kind of caught out, but instead he makes the hero play, 3-1-3, Tier 2 of Pridewin on its way over now as well. And this is problems for Sanguine now all of a sudden, Taka.
I mean, it's one thing to get montage and be a part of the Wolves highlight reel. So you already know the Sanguine fellas are probably feeling pretty bad about that one. But on top of all that, Finch, Wolves buy so much time after the fact that Hype Unit is able to just take a Gold Fury completely free. There was zero contest from Sanguine, and in fact, there's no one really alive to try and contest since 3 of them just died to Wolves in mid, but it is actually incredible how much space that just opened up for Hype Unit off of one play alone.
Yeah, and like it's my job to talk about those things when they happen, and we'll have to talk about it later as Layers can't quite find anyone with the ultimate, but they still have StRyDEr stuck in the sanctified field. They bring back down Truancii and the Najah low on options. Crimson finds himself a double, but in comes BMBobby looking to clean up. There's a ton of low health bars, but a blink in from Inbound. The Mez forces beads, and suddenly DoctorL's been isolated on the right-hand side. Layers and Wolves continue to dive. One more from a man from the solo lane. That's a clean 3 they take.
Wolves is just a raid boss at this point, Finch.
Oh, yeah.
You hope that 5 of you are going to be enough. I mean, we already saw what happened when 5 of them tried to go up against Wolves. It just looked like nothing. Or 4, excuse me. But still, when you need your entire roster to try and kill 1 member, that's when you know that someone needs to get the anti-heal online, and it needs to happen stat. This is kind of like Sanguine having backed themselves into a corner in a sense, because there really isn't anyone who was looking to prioritize a Brawlers or a Toxic Blade or even the Divine Ruin anytime soon. But that might just be what Sanguine need most right now. The best hope might be JTask looking for the Contagion.
That would be huge, and we love it into King Arthur. So that definitely will help out quite a bit. It sometimes can feel bad to build because you are missing out, I think, on some CDR that you normally get in that slot, but you definitely just still need it if you want to slow down this King Arthur. And even still, it by itself's not enough as Layers recognize he has to go up into the air. Tries to lead the Anvil of Dawn, but ends up missing it. But that's a big Petrify from Crimson around the corner, taking down 1. But anything you can do, I can do better as Crimson finds himself a double. DoctorL now in trouble. He transformed into the Medusa to try and follow up Crimson, but instead will meet his end as Wolves find 1 more kill. Layers Aegis is to buy himself some time and gets away from JTask, who's now isolated and won't be able to complete the back in time. Boronic's here first, but Inbound and the squad are on their way.
As if you needed any more from Layers. Even cancels his own back just to pull out the wall. And JTask, we already saw this one coming miles in advance, Finch, but sometimes you just full-on commit for that last kill, diving the tower, and you just wind up eating a full rotation of Hype Unit instead. BMBobby, by the way, has pretty much just been confined to this long lane. We've seen so many rotations from Oboronic ever since that Gold Fury was sieged, and now with the Primal Fury due to respawn fairly soon, I would have to expect that Hype Unit are just going to make their way over there after the Pyromancer.
Pyromancer's been leashed for now. They want Truancii instead, a bigger prize perhaps, as he's claimed by Layers, who completes a killing spree. Right back to the Pyromancer they go, and StRyDEr Prime says goodbye. No way to contest this.
The chaining of CC as well from Hype Unit is actually pretty gross right now. As if it's bad, or it's already bad enough having to worry about Wolves just running at you the entire time. But in case you do manage to make it out of all that, you've got Inbound to lock you down with the Groggy Strike. He's got the Mez, Epic Uppercut. There's also Layers with these Thor walls to kind of continue to restrict parts of the map that would normally be expected getaways. And last but not least, Oboronic. And I think Consecrate's honestly a sleeper CC setup. And
right.
Best example of it was on Truancii just then. Got knocked up, and even if he'd had the Windfire and Wheels, which I believe was still on cooldown during that Pyromancer contest, but even if it was there, a knockup, that's the best CC you could ask for in the game.
It is the best CC. Man, Taco, so I'm sorry, I'm still back on the play Wolves mix. So rarely
it's not processing.
Right?
Like, you really don't want to believe that actually just happened, but it happened.
Yeah, dude, that's brutal. And so often, you know, we dissect one play as being critical, but, you know, whole games don't hinge on them. MOBAs are so intricate. But I really do think in this game, that's such a turnaround play that Wolves makes to turn things around, and now StRyDEr Prime in trouble. Wolves rotates in again. CC immune in this form is StRyDEr Prime, but he can still take all the damage. He's healing up through most of it and makes it back to the tier 1, but in the backline, Truancii has found himself a juicy target. JTask as well as DoctorL waiting to follow up, but it's a Layers and a huge ultimate from Oboronic that slows everything down. A second one coming through from DoctorL as well, but doesn't matter. Wolves cuts right through it, and they find 2.
Every single time things start to look up for Sanguine, Hype Unit just find another response for it. Inbound gonna blink forward now, catches a 3-man mesh. JTask gonna get rooted in place, but it's all to control the T1 tower. Wolves more than happy to eat up all this damage because it's not really phasing him, despite the fact that he's sitting just shy of 50% HP. He'll be healed up in no time if Sanguine keep trying to approach him in the 1-by-1.
It's just not going to work. He's going to keep JTask zoned out. The rest of the team goes towards Primal. In fact, Sanguine give up on defending the objective. They look for the fight, trying to find Crimson, but it cost them BMBobby. JTask can't seem to lock down Crimson or the Medusa. The snake too slippery, and suddenly the Artio is on the wrong side of the map. Epic uppercut, and Oboronic here to follow up. The stun from Wolves. See you later, JTask. No highlight reel plays. Actually, the escape comes through. JTask is out of there, but Truancii falls, and now StRyDEr Prime being pushed out by layers. The rest of the squad will head back towards the Primal Fury as Wolves can't quite cut down the bear, but another good fight from Hype Unit. They're up 19-3.
The Wolves finally ran out of cooldowns. That's all I'm seeing here, Finch. And Hype Unit, with everybody zoned away or killed, who tried to get in the way to begin with, and Sanguine just keep getting beat down for their initiations. That's the most noticeable part, and I'm starting to think that this Najah is actually working pretty heavily against Sanguine, because normally you would expect it to be awesome to take somebody up into the air with that Windfire Wheels, but the problem that I'm seeing is that Truancii being stuck up in the air for that Windfire Wheels is giving so much response time for Hype Unit that by the time Truancii comes back down to the ground with his target, all of Hype Unit's there, and there's no possible way for a consistent follow-up when DoctorL, Bobby, StRyDEr, they're all either getting harassed by Wolves, mezzed by Inbound, or blown up by layers.
And the problem is DoctorL just can't do enough, and I don't mean that he's playing poorly. I actually think DoctorL's playing really well. It's just that there's too much requirement from this Morrigan. DoctorL will turn into the Olorun in the middle of the fight, and like, that's perfect. That's a huge sanctified field, but it's still not enough as Layers is hunting down BMBobby.
Yeah, right behind him.
Scary.
He has no idea.
Nah.
This is the worst feeling ever,
He
by
can
the
live
way.
this though, right?
Not with that double tap coming through. Layers also still has the Anvil of Dawn if necessary. Might choose to ult away now that StRyDEr has made his appearance.
But Inbound's on his way. Maybe he'll come back in.
Ooh, jump having been expended. BMBobby's gonna find Layers at the bottom of it. Good hammer toss though to avoid most of that Desert Fury. Another root in place. Impale no good, but Layers will wind up falling all the same. Bobby a little bit too distracted.
Well, so will JTask make it 1-for-1, but Inbound appears to be in quite a bit of trouble. You can see Wolves making his way slowly over to this. If Inbound can buy a little bit more time with the two-man mez and dash out, and then suddenly Wolves can show up as a new challenger, and he's 1v4 before, but everyone else has more items now. Can he afford to stick this out? But the rest of the team has shredded the Fire Giant all the way down. Inbound Layers in the squad bought time for a Fire Giant to be snuck away from Sanguine.
It's just so easy to forget about every single part of the map, Finch, but it's something you always have to keep in mind, especially when you're dealing with teams like Hype Unit that are at this caliber of play. But really impressive stuff all across the board. I think every single member from Hype Unit has had some standout moment. But I really do have to backtrack this all the way to mid lane and kind of retouch on that conversation you brought up where we don't like stating that one play makes or breaks a game. And to a certain degree, I don't think that Wolves finding a triple kill with the King Arthur into the Gold Fury was the end of it for Sanguine, but it's the team morale that I think takes a pretty significant blow in those sort of instances.
I agree. I think there's like a passive, like let's say that Baskin makes that play, right? And we don't want to gas Baskin up in that spot.
You just hit F6.
Right? It's like, and it's not because of, I think there's something to gassing up the person that we gas up all the time, right? Or that there's all this groundswell around, like in the community even, you know, like you don't want to feed that guy, and you know everyone's going to be tweeting it, and like that, I think that there is something to that kind of sticking to you a little bit more. And also the fact that Wolves is also very, very good and will tangibly use that lead in the game. I do think there might be some small element to that as well of, you don't want it to be Wolves, right? Highlight reeling us. Come on.
You really don't want to be a part. Well, because it happens all the time, and that's probably the worst part about it. And Bobby won't even get a chance to help try and contest with the rest of his team underneath these Phoenixes. Still 3 T2 towers for Hype Unit to work their way through, but with that pick onto the Anhur and still 40 seconds left to go until he's back, that's a lot of DPS that Sanguine are going to be missing out on. And Hype Unit, they're willing to play the 4v5 advantage. But Wolves has his mid lane pushed up, and there are some fresh red buffs in the jungle that Sanguine didn't get a chance to collect. So Hype Unit, hold fast on that Phoenix Surge, and just look for the freebies.
they'll grab this tier 2. Remember, they still have FG. It's hard to factor that back in because of just how dominant Hype Unit have been. But they're getting that extra bit on top of the 15K gold lead that they have to their name as well.
It is a guaranteed 4,500 gold, though, to the team. And that's hard to pass up, even if you could play the 4v5 advantage with the Anhur being dead for that left side Phoenix. With the lead that Hype Unit has already amassed, they can probably still pressure these Phoenixes pretty easily.
I like the idea, Doug, keeping our eyes on Wolves, because he's likely to make another big play. In goes Inbound to get things started first. There's the Sanctified Field dropped as well from oBoronic to zone everyone from the Phoenix, and it's already shredded. Right side Phoenix down. Inbound goes to the back line, forcing DoctorL into the Changeling. StRyDEr Prime tries to match it, but he's being shredded on the back line. oBoronic hits too hard, and StRyDEr Prime, the first casualty of this engagement. Truancii doesn't have enough to take down Layers, and his life is forfeit. Crimson finds one more. Unstoppable. At 7 kills in a row, Hype Unit take everything they want.
With 2 members of the front line already taken out, it's all down to JTask and 1 Artio Finch. I'm not sure it's going to be enough to peel and initiate for Sanguine. This mid Phoenix looking pretty much done. And Bobby, DoctorL just doing whatever they can to find some poke, but not risk their lives in the process.
This is everything, too. They're going to get all these Phoenixes off of 1 Fire Giant push. That's absurd efficiency here from Hype Unit as BMBobby forced out. DoctorL looks for the stun, but it's just Wolves. The left side Phoenix is already gone at this point as BMBobby finally takes down the raid boss. But what kind of consolation prize is that? 23 kills, all 3 Phoenixes, everything coming up Hype Unit at this point, even Layers making it out.
Whew, a little bit of a close call there for Layers on that Thor. He's not going to be looking to reintroduce himself anytime soon. oBoronic, on the other hand,
faster than back
more than he could chew. Hey, you're not wrong. It is a 1-minute respawn time, and oBoronic did just get a lot of money, so might take him some time to sit and think.
About where he wants to spend all that gold, right? You know? Yeah, he's got some time to try and decide what's going to be next up
everything.
for him.
He's got to be able to finish the build.
3,500 in hand, an absurd amount. Still thinking about where he wants
He's
that
not
money
the
to
only
go.
one. Look at the rest of his team. Wolves right there with him. They're probably having a conversation as we speak, just like, what do you think, man? Where do you think I should take this one?
What's just really good right now? Just give me something strong.
I like the Telkines. I
Yeah.
think that was the right idea, especially when you already had the demonic grip online.
Good mess. Bobby wants to take this fight, excuse me, as he does find himself the Mez and repositions 4 members of Sanguine on that side of the map. There's just not much else for them to be doing right now anyway, so they might as well be here. Fire Giant respawning as we speak as Layers takes to the sky. Wolves cutting down a few targets of his own, but I'd be surprised if Layers re-engages and indeed he falls back. Hype Unit should be regrouping around the FG.
One of the benefits of that envelope on is just getting to scope out the entire area. And when you see every single member from Sanguine pretty much grouped up by their red buff, there's just no reason for Layers to risk dying, getting picked, and losing this Fire Giant buff that his team is undoubtedly about to get for free, because even if Truancii shows his face, I think he just dies instantly.
Not much that Truancii can do on this Naja support. He does blink in to try and look for the steal, but he doesn't have an idea that it's too early. I like the play.
Yeah, he died instantly.
Yeah, as expected. It's just that he didn't have enough information. Hype Unit grab the Fire Giant, and now JTask is in trouble, and this is the part that doesn't feel great. You'd rather at least take the fight near the Titan instead of this staggered, trickling in situation that's happening to them here in the jungle. Trouble for DoctorL as Layers finds himself a double kill. Wolves now has BMBobby forced into using beads. The wall comes through for Layers, and a triple kill now for the Thor. No one left to defend as StRyDEr's not even in the Titan room. This game is all Hype Unit.
Just couldn't let Wolves be the only one with that triple. Sanctified Field gonna come out just for laughs, really, but Hype Unit, they really just careened this one out of control off the back of that Wolves triple kill.
Impressive stuff here from Hype Unit as I'm doing the Olorun autos. That's how hyped I am after that play from Wolves. I mean, that's just an impressive performance all around, I would say, from Hype Unit, man. I mean, it starts, I think, with Wolves' play there in the middle lane, but that's not the only thing that went well.
No, it really isn't the only thing that went perfectly for Hype Unit in this circumstance. I think that there were multiple kills and picks that Sanguine probably should have had it not been for a lot of these Kumbhakarna mezzes. Inbound's timing with the mezzes and the epic uppercuts just could not have been much better, Finch.
And this could not have been much better. I want to watch it one more time. Silence. Yeah! Wolves gives it to him, man. The triple kill. I mean, we already talked enough about how impressed that play was. I just wanted to see it again. I asked for that. So
But
there
the
you go.
fact that he still kept going.
Yes, he lives.
That lasted another 30 seconds or so after he gets the triple kill on like 10% HP. I don't even understand how Wolves does it, but he does it every single set.
That guy's nuts, man. Add all that up, and it ends up being a win for Hype Unit. Now, Sanguine, how do you bounce back? Hopefully, we'll find out after the break.
The SMITE Console League is brought to you by Titan Forge Games, the developers of SMITE.
And we're back like those dinosaurs. Tom Badger here, hosting the console desk for you. And, of course, my main going to be Anatoly. What's up, dude?
Hey.
Ready for game number 2?
Yeah.
But first, Wolves. Going nuts, man. I mean, what are you supposed to do when Wolves does these things except watch the highlights? We're going to get a chance to see what Wolves did again after the numbers. Fantastic stuff from these guys. 9-1-11 for layers set up by oBoronic, just crushing it. 5-1. I mean, this is what we expected of Hype.
Hey, imagine having the opportunity to heal for 10% of your maximum health.
Word.
Times 3. That's kind of what Wolves did with the Gladiator Shield.
Oh, yeah?
He hit 4 targets 3 different times, getting 10% health back in each of these hits.
Yeah, let's take a look. This is that triple kill that everybody went nuts over. Truancii gonna dive into the tower. This whole time, Wolves is just making sure to stay at max range so he can heal without the opponent dealing damage. That was that whole setup. Now by himself, he smooths through 3 players, gets him with the damage, heals up as well. A lot of it was early taking the distance. Now this was all about clumping up, and Wolves almost gets out of here.
Yeah, and then finally I think DoctorL comes back into it after finally getting chased down until the end of time, coming through from Truancii, or rather JTask. Barely gets away from the stun, having to stop the channeled root with his own Sundering Strike. And he almost even finds the kill onto DoctorL. If he had more mana, he probably would have went for it.
Yeah, just ran out of the resources there. DoctorL. I mean, it's a Jay-Z song. Kill you and then kill you again. Wolves here later on just continuing his reign of terror again, supported by the likes of Layers. Layers being able to do a fantastic job in the jungle for sure. And then Wolves just finishing things off here on the fire turn.
Yeah, Wolves had a fantastic performance, but also oBoronic as well on the Olorun, Crimson on this Medusa. He had fantastic Petrify ultimates, and more importantly also, the beads timings against the Naja was so important.
That's game 1. This is game 2. I like
that transition.
I love the camera going, ooh, it makes me feel like I get little.
It's like we're going into hyperdrive.
Are we, Tolly? Picks and bans for game number 2 here. As we look at the Odin ban, of course. No Odin for Hype Unit.
We like to have fun.
And the Jean Queen going to be banned out as well. We do like to have fun, don't we?
I like it, yeah.
Well, Hyperspace kind of shook my headset. I'm going to fix this real quick as we look at the set ban. Pretty standard here. No surprises as far as what Sanguine wants to ban out. Hype Unit on the other side. The Isis is what we're going to see. And then, of course, Sanguine last time around. Do they ban the Thor?
Maybe King Arthur, honestly. At this point. No, it's going to be the Morrigan instead. They might select the Thor for themselves or the King Arthur.
Yeah, that's actually very true. Which one would you rather see here?
Probably Thor. I think it's just more consistent. There's still ways you could shut down the King Arthur. Artio, not the best way to do it. Like, Ares jungle wouldn't be a bad idea, actually. Just to sit in that lane potentially. There's a lot of kill potential, even if it's in the solo lane, to have an aggressive jungler. But instead, you're going to give up global pressure. Wolves had a good highlight reel. Not again.
Yeah, King Arthur is what you remember getting embarrassed by. I think that the Thor did a lot of work, but wasn't the one. I mean, we showed the highlight reel, right? Yeah. So, King Arthur, that's the biggest one in the memory bank right there. We'll ban him out by taking him, and then Hype Unit respond by giving Wolves the big worm. We'll see how Jormungandr works out there. Very aggressive is the big guy. So, next to that will be the Erlang Shen.
Not too many players these days are favoring the Girthworm to counteract a lot of these aggressive soul laners, but Wolves definitely prefers the mobility from this god, also the magical damage. We saw, I believe it was Nickwood that had to deal with the Jormungandr earlier on. He did a good job countering that with the Runic Shield, reducing the magical power by 50. We'll see if that's something that Sanguine is going to react with as well.
Off the selection here for Sanguine. They're going to lean on the Birdman and the Naja. I love the Naja. Almost worked out last time. We'll see if it can almost work out again. Some real clean moves. We were able to use the ultimate or the sash to get out of the Sanctity field. Some good stuff going on there as far as Naja is concerned. Unfortunately, just didn't spread to the rest of the squad. Hype Unit responding. They pair up the Olorun one more time with their Jormungandr and the Erlang Shen.
Thought it was going to be a Thor to go with the Erlang Shen, maybe stick Inbound with the support Erlang, but instead allowing oBoronic to still have the Sanctified field for himself. And this time, Sanguine not having the Morrigan, so they don't have that same option on the opposite end.
I think Erlang Shen right now is a full X. If Sanguine go ahead and ban out the Thor, which they haven't just yet, then, you know, Hype will go ahead and let Erlang Shen do the thing. But if they're able to pick up the Thor, I think they also do. And then they put Erlang Shen in that support role, if possible.
It would be a good way to try to chase down the Thoth. I would love to also see maybe a Susanoo coming through from layers to really put the pressure onto the backline. Thoth, we're not going to be able to free cast when there's a Typhoon ripping through the battlefield, disrupting the final judgment.
The Ares jungle is something that Tully had talked about, and that'll be taken away here by Sanguine, not allowed this time around. So if Hype Unit were going to pick the Thor, now would be the time, but instead the Hercules. And I like this choice. Hercules, something that Aurora and a number of other players have gone at time and time again. The support Herc has been very, very strong as of late. So we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, I'm expecting Hercules support. I think Inbound is going to be hyper aggressive in Game 2.
Draft finishing up here for Sanguine. And we've got the Anhur, the Naja, the Thoth, and the King Arthur. That's all going to be paired up with the Cabrakan. The big boy will come through, and we'll see perfect setup. Great choice. I think a lot of these characters kind of get stuck with the Cabrakan wall. Most notably, Erlang Shen. Erlang Shen, one of the most one of the slipperiest. Most slippery?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah, whatever. He's very slippery. But when you trap him with the Cabrakan trap, that can be a different story. Neith, last pick. How you feel?
Global pressure is not a bad thing to try to focus out the Anhur. Maybe get off Desert Furies instead of forcing the beads. That could be one idea.
Hype Unit, one game away from the set. Sanguine trying to stop them. Finch and Uller.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tully. It is indeed me and the Nordic Prince. What's Uller? I don't know. I got Taco here with me as we go into game number 2, Hype Unit versus Sanguine.
Well,
Crimson taking a 1v1 in mid that he's losing.
Actually, Finch, Nor's Pantheon is my favorite Pantheon.
Is that true?
Do you know why?
Because it's cold and you like to wear, like, comfortable clothes.
Yes, that's a very good reason. I can understand where your brain was going with that one. But Nor's Pantheon, and this is completely unrelated to the set here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just here to educate you folks on the beautiful history of SMITE.
Yeah.
And hopefully con them into putting this god into the game as well. No spoilerinos.
Oh.
We have Fafnir. Fafnir's brother is Oder, who is conveniently the god of otters.
That adds up as BMBobby as he beats. There are not enough first blood layers on the board already. Doesn't want it to just be Wolves with the highlight plays. Layers punishing BMBobby.
Yeah, well, you know, Finch, I think where things first went wrong. Oh, DoctorL, quick little alley-oop here, could actually turn this But unfortunate for StRyDEr. I think that blink might have been interrupted that he was looking for off of the archers. And now Truancii gonna pay the ultimate price as Layers gets kill number 2 here with the Erlang.
A fraction of a second too late there from DoctorL on the peel as well. That impale probably would have been enough, but not that DoctorL got there too late. It just best performance possible from him, and he couldn't get there in time. What a tough situation there as Inbound blinks into the 2-man driving strike. Nice stun, 2-man stun. StRyDEr primed to buy time, but the root still lands because he'd already used the first ability, and Crimson finds another kill. Hype Unit just styling mechanically on Sanguine right now.
That's the worst feeling ever, because you already got styled on in game 1 by Wolves, and now you got to worry about Inbound with this Hercules. Layers on the Erlang. It's just so much pressure right away for Hype Unit, even without the picks that did go in their favor early on. I just don't really expect much pressure out of this Thoth, so I'm definitely not looking towards dual lane for a huge surge of aggression, but Hype Unit really are kind of just doing it all here, Finch.
Very impressive start here to this game for Hype Unit. Inbound doing his best Aurora impression throughout this early game here so far, making big plays. And really, I should have thought about it, that Hercules and all the things he does in the early game does fit Inbound's playstyle very, very well. So impressive for him. I'm also sorry that Hype Unit have turned on the gas so that you don't get to talk to him about this otter guy you like from Norse mythology.
Whew, yeah, well, much like us here at Hi-Rez, we aren't allowing odor. You know, I have to think this is a conspiracy against me, Finch.
That's what it is. Anything we can do.
Like. We already have Fafnir. How do we not just add odor? It's his brother. Think about all the cool things we could do with those two together.
Truancii might be in a bit of trouble here on the left-hand side, trying to defend purple. There's the sanctified field, and Truancii never stood a chance. Oboronic removes him from the game, and Inbound now looking to catch out one more. It's StRyDEr Prime on the Cabrakan. All he can do is look for peel via stuns, but I don't know if that's enough. Blink gets him out of there. Nice plays, but Layers follows up into the root. But StRyDEr Prime a little bit too beefy to fall there. But it is DoctorL getting pulled back in. But can't find the push from Inbound, surprisingly.
Feel like I'm going to be saying a lot this set, Finch, because there's just been so much rundown from Hype Unit already. And whether it's duo or mid, it doesn't even matter because JTask locked down to that T1 tower means that Wolves has all the pressure he needs for Hype Unit to do whatever they want elsewhere on the map.
So despite this 4-0 start and a 2,000 gold lead at the 4-minute mark, Hype Unit can't win this game, Taco. Do you know why?
Why's that?
It's because Wolves put his Warrior's Blessing in the wrong slot again. It's something Wolves likes to do. He likes to tilt people, and it's working.
I feel like when you say people, you're exclusively referencing yourself.
Yeah. Well, no. Wolves, yeah, especially me, but lots of people. That's awful. That's chaotic evil.
I actually had someone the other day in a ranked game that put it in the 5th slot.
So how do you even get it that far over there? Is JTask in some trouble? Rotations coming in from all Hype Unit. Too many members from the Chaos side on this part of the map, but JTask still alive. Wolves forced to go to the ultimate, but unnecessary, as Crimson was willing to use the World Weaver to get it. So, yeah, what was I thinking? JTask never stood a chance.
Well, just in case Wolves was off the mark, Crimson more than happy to scoop that free bounty off the pick there, and this level of pressure already, and I think that this was kind of a trap set in place by Hype Unit in the picks and bans, because when Wolves has a performance like he did in Game 1 with the King Arthur, it's very easy for a team to look at the God and say, okay, we're taking this instead. But if you don't get rid of Jormungandr in the process, this is, without a doubt, one of the best King Arthur matchups you could ask for to date.
You're exactly right. Yeah, obviously the Jormungandr can't be picked up, but I think that the magical damage as a bruiser into that matchup helps a lot too, because Glad Shield's not nearly as effective against you in terms of mitigating your damage. Yeah, it's a really good all-around matchup.
And if you do buy the magical defense, you're kind of handicapping yourself later on anyway, because the second that Layers rotates, the second that Crimson attaches that World Weaver to you, you're stuck.
BMBobby has to use B to get away from the sanctified field as Oboronic makes a play towards a solo kill, but BMBobby survives at this time. Though Inbound's rotating in towards mid and might have a chance for a nice play. Nope, he finds nothing there. He's fine.
On the other hand, Inbound gonna catch DoctorL with that Earthbreaker. Still not enough to kill, unlike what's happening in solo lane. JTask will most certainly be killed. Bobby just going for the outright driving strike. No, Bobby in the left-hand lane gonna look for the hieroglyphic assault as he takes down oBoronic, where one Bobby succeeds, the other hasn't really been able to do too much in mid.
Yeah, Inbound hasn't found a lot there, but they did get the kill on a JTask, and again, StRyDEr PR1mE hot off his successful gank in duo. Just kind of having some fun in mid.
It happens.
and so is Inbound, okay. We're just having a good time. In comes the Wolves, though, rotating in on the Jormungandr ult. Apparently still has another charge left. That was a huge rotation from Wolves as Crimson finds StRyDEr PR1mE. That's a max range sash from Truancii onto Inbound, but what follow-up can DoctorL do at this point? Hype unit up 7-1.
These rotations are just a never-ending beatdown, though, Finch. That's what I'm going to chalk this one up as, because Hype Unit are just relentless right now. They are not giving Sanguine a chance to think or breathe or do anything on this map. Even when they do find success in a pick, it's almost immediately responded to.
This could be trouble, though, for Bobby. In comes the final judgment from the actual Bobby as Inbound goes down, taking out that Hercules quite cleanly. That was all set up by Truancii, finding a nice sash. And this is the kind of stuff that Sanguine has to do to fight their way back into this. And I don't know if I've given this team enough credit yet, but these are not, you know, randos that Hype Unit are playing up against. Sanguine's a strong roster. JTask has been around forever. So has DoctorL. Truancii and BMBobby and StRyDEr PR1mE have been here with them playing well, too. But Hype Unit just outclassed them today.
Can definitely agree with you on that one, Finch. This is not a blowover team by any means. And that's why it's so incredible to see Hype Unit coming this hot from the start, because these aren't players that you can normally one-up so easily, but Hype Unit are making it look easy.
Do you know why the United States of Smash was so sick? It's because All For One was sick. And that's what's happening here. Sanguine's a good team. Hype Unit just hitting them with that United States of Smash right now.
Only so much to be done, but the little bits that do need to come through have definitely connected here for Sanguine. I think that DoctorL has done a great job on this Anhur at mitigating some of this early game woes that have been set in place already by Hype Unit and Wolves. I think that this is the real storyline to follow now, because with this Jormungandr having such an easy time to rotate, we've already seen how effective it can be in terms of diving these T1 towers, especially with Crimson.
That's a two-man taunt from Layers. He's a one-man army as he brings everyone down quite low. Inbound can't find the kill, though, and actually a bit of trouble for Layers, despite a good start. A better group of rotations from Sanguine answer back, and now it's the ult from JTask, but final judgment off the mark doesn't matter. Truancii found Inbound as well, and suddenly two more on the board for Sanguine to answer back, and BMBobby feeling it. Aggressive use of the dash, but now he might be in trouble without that safety as Wolves rotates in, but can't afford to chase. Sanguine get away scot-free.
DoctorL probably just happy that Wolves didn't happen to be right around the corner with that World Serpent. Could have had a double kill. Instead, Truancii gonna get gobbled up inside of that sanctified field. StRyDEr PR1mE trying to do what he can for a response, but it's oBoronic who's getting run down by DoctorL.
oBoronic, though, level 11, not too unhappy to take the spike. Impale misses. There's the route to try and back him up, but oBoronic survives long enough to clean up one kill. Now StRyDEr PR1mE has overcommitted, and Wolves will find himself a double. And this is what Hype Unit can do. They lose two members in mid and still recognize that they have the advantage. Find 2 kills and a Gold Fury.
And the problem was the chase there for Sanguine. They just needed a hard disengage reset after that successful push down in mid lane. Instead, they're going to overextend one more time, getting caught up, trying to chase after oBoronic. Thought they had the numbers advantage. Forget that this early on, these respawn timers are not that long to sit out and wait. So with the Gold Fury having gone down, that's just going to make it even easier now for Hype Unit to look for even further aggression in mid and duo, knowing that they won't get punished by losing that global objective.
Wolves' build this game is wild, too. I mean, obviously, the Relic Dagger is good. It's an item we're seeing so much more of, but he actually got it ahead of those boots. He just bought them now on his back timer, and I think he's been using that Relic Dagger to make these rotations a lot more. The cooldown on the teleport is shorter. He can come back to lane or use the teleport sneakily in between to get to a tower sooner, and he picks up the Aegis on the back end. Another thing we don't see solo laners buy a lot is Crimson nearly removes DoctorL by himself. But I think this early build from Wolves has been really strong.
Oh, this might just be it for DoctorL.
Nice.
Oh, a beautiful obelisk in Inbound. Might just have to watch his prey get away. Great play there from DoctorL to stay alive. On the other hand, oBoronic will wind up paying the ultimate price there with his life, but Truancii having already fallen just means that it's a 4v4 outright for both these squads.
Now could be trouble for StRyDEr Prime as Layers is here along with Inbound, but they can't land the CC.
Oh.
But DoctorL, way back by the Phoenix, getting killed by Wolves at cyberbullying. Someone call someone on Wolves and make him stop.
How did Wolves even find him? It had to have been DoctorL getting greedy with the back harpies?
Perhaps, but either way,
Trying
Wolves
to greed the
find him.
Transcendence gold, I bet.
Right, trying to get a little bit more. He does eventually end up with it at the very least, but it ends up being costly as Wolves now 5-0-2.
And it's mostly the delay that I'm looking towards here from Wolves, because even if he doesn't kill DoctorL in that position, the fact that he delays his back for so long, that's all missed experience off of these creep waves that now Truancii is going to head to mid to try and soak up. But DoctorL's already 2 levels behind this Neith, and normally it doesn't seem as bad on paper when there's a 2-level disparity in the mid lane, but because it's another hunter that is that far out in front, and keep in mind, this is a Neith that's very likely going to go pretty ability-oriented, judging by the fact that Crimson already has that Mace Tree pickup.
Yeah, likely a Crusher I'm thinking next, but I mean, I wouldn't even balk at a Yoke for Neiths in particular, as Inbound is certainly going to die here. The wall was stripped away, so maybe he can make his way back out. Crimson did a good job, but it's 3 members there that circled on him. Truancii with a good job with that ult.
3 different ults, though, expended for a single Hercules, and I respect it from Sanguine, though, because of the fact that Gold Fury's already gone. It's not like they're losing anything.
Crimson tried to force the tier 1 tower. I know Layers is on the way, but he loses a lot. But it ends up working anyway. DoctorL low, World Weaver to bring Truancii low, but Oboronic and Layers don't have enough damage to complete that kill. And this has just been they've been on the gas, Hype unit, the entire set. Constant pressure, constantly looking for fights and stripping away buffs. It's made it hard for us to keep up. I can't imagine Sanguine.
That secondary part, though, is the most important part, Finch. It's not just kills that Hype unit is getting. It is constantly stripping away Sanguine's farm. And Sanguine, they're not doing the same thing in turn. They're typically backing after these picks take place, or they're left with not enough HP to want to continue the engagement.
That's pretty tilting, by the way. Just on your way to the red buff like normal when suddenly you're met by a Yorm for 80% of your health bar. Looks as though Wolves won't keep up the chase underneath the tier 2 tower, at least not onto BMBobby, but the red buff has been taken away by Hype unit. They got what they wanted after all.
All that World Serpent's there for is just to pretty much show the space that Sanguine isn't allowed to move through. And now with JTask rotating into this mid lane, but keep in mind, this is a King Arthur that did not fare too well throughout that laning phase. And Hype unit, you can believe that if they got presence in one spot, they're gonna have pressure elsewhere also. T1 tower and duo gonna wind up falling as a result, and this map just continues to open up for Hype unit.
The plan is to squeeze Sanguine until there's nothing left to wring out of the map. And I love this build from Wolves even more now with this Stone Binding pickup. It's these cost-effective items that he's using to make sure he's still doing relevant damage, but also hard to commit to for the kill based off the fact that he has the lead. And Sanguine just haven't been able to come up with an answer to it yet. And if I'm being honest, I don't know what you do now that he's this far out in front, Taco. Where can they go to try and find some relief?
They're just going to have to hope that Hype unit spread themselves a little bit too thin and look for the punish when that takes place, because we have seen a few instances, I think, of Inbound going a little bit too far in front. Right. However, this is not one of them. Truancii going to get hit by the driving strike and doesn't even get a chance to look to win Firewheels out of there. He's just blown up in an instant.
How does Layers hold the knock up that long too? Just perfectly chaining the CC together yet again for Hype unit. Tier 1 tower being threatened by Crimson here in the middle lane. They should be able to grab this, though. It looks like they don't have quite enough minions. Hype unit give up on it.
It's like they're functioning off of the same brain.
Yeah.
That's really what it looks like when Hype unit plays sometimes, as Wolves continues to play zone duty here. StRyDEr's got no idea, maybe a couple of audio cues, but right now it's all about Layers trying to keep the in-hands going. Good chunk of that Cabrakan HP, that's for sure, Finch, and all that lockdown potential is starting to feel more and more like Sanguine actually getting locked in with Hype unit.
I agree. A lot of the times we say back and buy, but that was a beads and back forced on the StRyDEr. Something that you definitely don't want to have to be a part of, as Truancii can't keep the tier 2 tower standing and left. Layers is at least distracted by the King Arthur, but Truancii has himself a Oboronic. BMBobby cleans up the first kill, but in comes that World Weaver for the stun into the boulder off the wall. Inbound finds one more to make it 1-for-1 jungle for support.
Inbound not trying to take any more chances, but JTask, meanwhile, dealing with Wolves
I like this.
on his own, and I'm a big fan of this as well, Finch. DoctorL has the right idea, sees all of Hype units still on that duo side of the map. He's just going to take his time looking to push out the T2, but no! Wolves won't even let him have that. Use the teleport to stop that push.
But that does mean that Wolves is there instead of here, which is actually pretty hard to calculate. It's pretty much in favor of Sanguine, though. That means that this Primal Fury can't be taken by Hype unit now on the other side. They'll have to wait as Wolves slowly makes his way back over, but DoctorL finding some much-needed farm and forcing out the teleport from Wolves is a pretty big deal.
StRyDEr, though, has steadily been behind players ever since the start, and I mean, that's kind of to be expected when an Erlang is able to find 2 picks almost immediately within the first 5 minutes of a game.
Yeah.
That's rough stuff, for sure, for StRyDEr there, but it's even through the picks that we have seen go the way of Sanguine, it just never really feels like Sanguine is actually leading the way. It feels constantly like Sanguine is only finding kills based off of certain responses to Hype unit that just happen to go their way.
In game 1, I would say Sanguine took a big hit and couldn't punch back. This time Sanguine are punching back, but they're not enough to come all the way back into the game. We've definitely seen some of what we've said is there. All the talent on this roster has shown through this time. They've made as impressive mechanical plays as Hype unit, but the team playing the map better right now, playing as a 5-man unit better, that's all Hype.
This could be big though. BMBobby charging that final judgment, looking to try and challenge on this Primal Fury. Good job from Wolves to spot it out. Not gonna let this Thoth have any chance to free catch. Truancii, on the other hand, getting poked out pretty low. Still, no, doesn't have the Windfire wheels any longer.
Final judgment is being charged elsewhere, so the Primal Fury dropped again, but that's because StRyDEr Prime was too juicy a bait and Hype unit find themselves a kill. That's the boulder already expended from Inbound as Oboronic drops the Sanctified Field, and Final Judgment clips through Oboronic. Removed early, so Layers goes right to the back line, looking for the Thoth. In comes Truancii, and DoctorL finds one more kill. It's a 2-for-1, but this time it's in Sanguine's favor. Wolves comes in, though, and shreds DoctorL 2-for-2.
This could be big, though. Wolves might actually wind up falling here, and BMBobby just kind of doing it all right now for Sanguine. Gonna wind up bringing down Wolves. Bobby gonna be next. Bobby taking out Bobby. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Huge fight, though, from this Thoth from Sanguine. BMBobby showing up in a big way, finding the right time for that big use of the Final Judgment to take out Oboronic. And I think finally Hype unit overcommit there a little bit. Taco, for me, I think the Sanctified Field wasn't quite good enough. What was it for you?
That was the main thing that was off the mark for me. A little bit of an awkward placement from Oboronic. Was probably hoping to catch Truancii a little bit better on that backside, but Truancii just managing to get out of the way in time that Sanguine just immediately punished Hype unit for that missed call. And, well, I think it's a punish that needed to happen because they just cut a 7,000-ish gold lead into right shy of 4,000 here, and that is a definitely big swing in the charts.
You can see it on the charts there. Clearly a big uptick back in Sanguine's favor, desperately needed, as Hype unit were on the precipice of running away with this game and set as a result. Instead, things are right back near parity, not quite. Certainly Hype unit still have an advantage, but not nearly as big as the last one. But Hype unit in typical fashion are ready to come punish StRyDEr Prime. Ends up falling. JTask is now low as well. He does go up into the air with that ultimate, but I don't think there's any backup making its way over. He's able to spin his way out of a bad situation, but Inbound cuts him off, finds the driving strike. There's the root as well from Crimson, and 2 for Hype unit, 0 for Sanguine. Maybe 1 instead as Oboronic ends up falling to DoctorL. A big answer back to make it 2-for-1.
This is starting to feel like Sanguine might have just rattled the hornet's nest, though, at this point, Finch, because Hype unit are still pushing forward, trying to see who's next. Meanwhile, they've got Crimson chipping away at this T2 tower over in duo. Blink over the wall from Inbound's going to catch out Bobby, but a quick evade and punch to the backside will get him away for now.
But that's the tier 2 tower down. In comes the boulder as well for Inbound for a little bit of extra damage, but not a ton of value there. Instead, Hype unit grab the tier 2, and with a 4 versus 4 advantage, see if they try and grab this Pyromancer as well.
Pyromancer definitely going to be next on the agenda, especially after that Frenzy gets popped. Wolves as well, just in case, lurking in that invis to knock anybody up who dares try and come near, but so far, so good for Hype Unit. They get the 2-2 tower they were after and just re-expand that lead back to about 6,000 and beyond. And that's going to make it real tough for Sanguine to find a recovery point now that both global objectives are off the map for right now. And I doubt that Fire Giant is really Sanguine's next intent.
I do want to take a look at Hype Unit's builds, though. They've been very efficient this game. The Toxic Blade is down there for Oboronic, for anti-heal, for attack speed. I mean, the Executioner for layers on the Erlang Shen. I feel like we don't see that item with him as often, perhaps, as we should. Now a Relic Dagger for Inbound as well. They've been using this, like, Ancient Blade tree quite well, I think, for all that HP and movement speed to be able to kind of catch Sanguine off guard.
I think that the Executioner is awesome because Layers already has the stone cutting, and it'll just be great for really chunking down a Cabrakan inside of those tremors. But what I'm noticing is, on the other hand, we've got Sanguine and BMBobby having that Divine Ruin. I think has been a huge surging point forward. Crimson might get blown up.
Crimson certainly in some trouble. DoctorL has to jump away quickly as the Sanctified Field has already been dropped. Taunt from Layers to try and pull back in StRyDEr Prime, and Final Judgment doesn't find much at all. But they lock down Oboronic anyway. Truancii with the Sash, and DoctorL with the follow-up. Wolves continuing to put out the breath, but it's nowhere near enough to find that last kill, and Hype Unit have to regroup. Sanguine answer back to make it 1-for-1.
Layers still trying to spam these autos wherever he can, but JTask is not really giving him too many target points. Truancii gonna sash forward, but that might just be him signing his own death warrant, Finch.
Inbound has found himself a target, but you're right, it's Truancii that's in trouble. Sanguine, though, starting to show all that strength we said they had earlier on as JTask looks for Crimson. If they could shut down this Neith damage, they cut out a lot of opportunities for Hype. But BMBobby can't get into range, and the boulder dunks JTask into the earth. Inbound finds one more for himself as Hype Unit now reached 22 kills. And over the backline comes Wolves. No one expected the sneaky snake. BMBobby shut down by the Jormungandr.
Peep that ward so deep in Sanguine's jungle in a spot that you normally wouldn't expect it to be, with the Fire Giant still not having been taken down. But 2 members dead for 30 seconds plus, Finch. It's going to be tough, I think, for Sanguine to try and get in and challenge on that Fire Giant, if it is the intent from Hype Unit to look for that objective. Oni Fury is about to respawn, however, and I wouldn't be surprised if Hype Unit just choose to go for a safer call.
Yeah, the Truancii giveth and the Truancii take it away. I think Truancii is the reason that Oboronic ends up falling way back near the beginning of that fight, which is huge. But then Truancii goes too far on the back line and gives his life away on the back end. It's that kind of inconsistent play that's going to let Hype Unit back in. But man, what was his play to teleport to that Sentry Ward, to come around the back of the Tier 2, basically saves the fight. Something
that I've definitely noticed with this Sanguine roster is that they make plays that sometimes aren't even necessary to try and risk first reward in. And I think a perfect example is honestly just that last sash from Truancii.
Right.
I'm pretty confident his teammates were going to get out of there regardless, but he still sashes forward regardless. Gets the bees though from Oboronic, but now the turn and burn, and
wow.
Truancii, he just knows he's toast.
He recognized that there was no way back out there for him. Oboronic gonna head right back to the Fury. Meanwhile, in the air, it's Wolves looking to see if he can zone out everyone else from Sanguine, and he certainly can. Fury actually leashed by Hype Unit. I think they really wanted the fight. They'll settle for the Oni Fury.
Yeah, I guess we'll take this Oni Fury. I mean, if we absolutely must.
They're gonna make us take the Oni Fury. I guess we will. Inbound blink into the driving strike, into the taunt, but StRyDEr Prime still has beads. Good wall, actually, to cut off Hype Unit, and StRyDEr Prime will survive.
But without the tectonic plates, I can't really expect Hype Unit to want to stay away from this Fire Giant for much longer. And in fact, Finch, they're already one step ahead of me with this one. Wolves gonna start pulling this Fire Giant right away. Layer's gonna add some damage to it. DoctorL is gonna know what's up, but I don't know if he can get his way in there.
I don't think he can either. I understand the idea was Desert Fury or CC immune. Maybe you can strip it away, but just not a chance this time. Hype Unit regain the lead up to 12,000 gold, and they've got Fire Giant around their waist. They've already gotten all the Tier 2 towers too. We're in Phoenix Siege mode as Hype Unit take this opportunity to back.
This might just be the best opportunity though for Sanguine to come back in this one, Finch, because
Agreed.
Keep in mind they've got this Thoth with BMBobby, and Bobby's had some stellar plays so far this game. I think that there's definitely room for hesitation here on Hype Unit side, and if they do wind up hesitating, then that's something that a Thoth, Anhur, Ninja can definitely exploit.
But this push feels like the difference between a 30-minute game and a 45-minute game, doesn't it? Like if Hype Unit squander this opportunity, then suddenly Sanguine could find themselves right back in this game, stalling out on their Phoenixes as so many games do, or Hype Unit could put it to bed right here and now. As they start pushing their way up, it looks like the long lane will be the push, but they've got minions in all 3 lanes. Look how pushed up they are. Gonna make things difficult for Sanguine.
Wolves is just gonna walk right in.
He doesn't
no
care.
problem. Plenty of minions, and World Serpent gonna be invested right away. Just trying to create as much chaos as possible.
Inbound found 3 with that driving strike. Sanctified Field finds 2, and the knockup is there from Wolves to get maximum value. Left side Phoenix down. BMBobby charging the final judgment on the left-hand side, but there's not even a fight. It's already done.
But that was through the Sanctified Field. In Sanctified Field, you're usually guaranteed at least one of those Phoenixes because of how easy it is to siege inside of that time dilation field. But Mid-Phoenix could be a different story entirely. BMBobby does have the Hieroglyphic Assault, and after the most recent buff, you have to remember that these stack in damage now the more you connect those shots.
Frenzy still available and upgraded for Inbound. They didn't even have to use that on the left side Phoenix Siege. Keep in mind Crimson charging this ultimate as well. A stun on a target they pick is huge. But look at Layers and Inbound. They're just pushing up on right, and there's really not even anyone over there. They've got a minion now into Phoenix range, forcing a rotation from Sanguine, and that's when the defense collapsed. The rest of Hype Unit make their way in through mid-Phoenix, and that Phoenix is theirs.
Every single lane having been pushed up is starting to work against Sanguine pretty heavily here. StRyDEr gonna blink in. StRyDEr gonna lose half of his health in the process. Good final judgment connects on the inbound, but mitigate wounds is even better.
To give him the heal, and suddenly StRyDEr Prime is a little bit too low. Hype Unit find the first kill of this siege. Truancii looks for Crimson, but the beads are there. That means the Windfire Wheels is wasted, and Truancii ends up falling. Mid-Phoenix now under siege. BMBobby has the Aegis, but the Boulder's there waiting to bring him down to critical condition. That's 2 Phoenixes for Hype Unit.
World Serpent one more time. Well, hasn't Wolves done this already? And
Yeah.
it's back up again. That has got to be frustrating for Sanguine. Sanctified Field going to return also as JTask tries to collapse onto Oboronic. Well-placed Aegis, though, and DoctorL is out of there.
How is it that they've sieged this much and Oboronic still has Aegis? That's heartbreaking for Sanguine as they lose one more member, JTask. It no longer in the land of the living. They'll take the right side Phoenix, and it's just BMBobby who's had a monster game on the Thoth to somehow try and keep this alive for Sanguine. Hype Unit onto the Titan room. BMBobby barely making it back to the fountain, but Inbound pushes him out. They don't even want the Titan, they want to farm kills. That's it for the Thoth. That's going to be it for the game as well. As soon as Hype Unit puts some damage on the actual Titan, 2-0, Hype Unit grabbed the win.
Hype Unit kind of just recognized the fact that StRyDEr Prime a little bit tankier than that Anhur would be, so they're going to have to give up on that last pick for a clean DSI finish, but the message is still all the same. I think that we saw some good pieces to the puzzle here today from Sanguine, but ultimately it's just tough dealing with Hype Unit.
And to be fair, everyone else on console and even some PC teams have had trouble with Hype Unit. So how do we give? I mean, you can't say anything bad about Sanguine. I think the performance actually rather impressive from this team. It just wasn't enough for the win.
Considering how many teams have just been beaten down pretty in much worse manner than what we saw here today from Sanguine. They did everything they could. It just wasn't enough, but it's a great set I think that these guys can look back on and kind of reflect and figure out where to go forward with next.
They gave Oboronic a hard time, and still the win comes out for Hype Unit. But to break it down in more detail, let's get it back over to the boys on the desk.
Thanks a lot, John Finch. Tom Badner here to bring you the final moments of the day as we see Hype Unit collect themselves, collect their teammates, and collect the win. 2-0 above the opposition. Fantastic stuff. Unfortunately for Sanguine, could not stand up and grab it totally. But like Taco said, I think the the light for Sanguine fans is that like the Hype Unit has killed some people indiscriminately before. Sanguine put up a fight.
No surprise here to see Hype Unit still walk away with a 2-0 victory, but what Sanguine did right was focusing out Oboronic. Oboronic struggled on the Olorun, but because of all that attention on Olorun, Crimson on the Neith was left unchecked, going 6-0 and 14. A wonderful performance out of the Neith.
I think this is really fun to watch for Hype Unit fans, mainly because BORonic is the guy that gets it done, right? Wolves Layers always does it. BORonic is also the third player that's always getting it done. And so for the enemy team to go ahead and identify, all right, man, like we gotta take care of BORonic, that's a nice look for Hype fans to realize that, you know, other people can kind of grab it. Watching Crimson come back on the Neith, I mean, as a Hype fan, you're that is what you want. If BORonic or somebody falls, there's somebody to pick it up, and Neith did that.
It's very difficult to walk out of a game without a single death, but that's what Crimson was able to do. And Neith with the backflip, you know, it's telegraphed. It's very easy to be able to get in there and chase her down. But with all the aggressive nature from Layers Erlang Shen, from Inbound's Hercules, that alleviated any sort of backline counter dive potential, and it left Crimson just free to damage, top player damage of the game.
Clean stuff there. Crimson stepped up when needed, and Hype are able to take the victory. Fun stuff all together when we take a look at what's going on here at the Console League. Some of the top are providing exactly what is required to bring their wins home. They win here online, and then they win here in Atlanta live. Everybody's trying to gear up for Hi-Rez Expo, and if you want to come too, you can win or lose your games at home. I don't care. You just got to buy a ticket. HiResExpo.com. Everybody's a winner there.
At November 15th through 17th. Mark the date on your calendars.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for us here at the Minor League. My name's Tom. That's Anatoly. You guys are chat. We love you. We'll catch you next time.